Okay, here we are. Let's see, do we have everything on? All right. See if I can't turn this down on my side. Oh wait, I can. There we go. That should work. All right, there we are. Hello. Welcome again. I hope I had water before I started this. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah. All right. So mainly one of the things that I'm gonna probably be talking about a little bit tonight is why execution is the hardest part of creating anything, honestly. uh, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that as I work on some of the item system for I forgot what we were calling this. Let me look in our Discord real quick. If you're wondering why I don't remember what the name of this is because it used to be called The Accused, and we're changing it to Oculos. Yes, that is the name of this one. So we will be working on Oculos. Let me get that over here so I can see that. Put it right beside that one. Great, fantastic, awesome stuff. I will try not to touch the mic. I know it gets loud, so we'll try not to do that. Let's see. You know, one of the things that I really need to do is set up announcements for when we go live in our Discord channel, because it's not happening right now, and I am trying to make this an every Wednesday thing. Okay, well, actually, technically it's Thursday, so sorry I missed Wednesday. No, I'm hoping it's either gonna be. I'm trying to really get this refined down, but it's gonna be Wednesdays, somewhere between 8 and 9 o'clock Central, or I mean Eastern, and or it'll be somewhere between 10 to 12. Usually after everybody's already down for the night. But I will try to get it narrowed down to a specific time window so that we can have it going on a regular occasion. So let's see here. Let me get my stuff pulled up here so that I can start looking at this. How do I get that off of there? I'm pretty sure I did. I've already downloaded all these, but I bet I didn't. Sounds about right. Let me take a look. See, do I have these icons downloaded? I do not have these icons downloaded. Well, that's just not gonna cut it, is it? Alright, so we're going to download some assets from our team. These are placeholder assets that we're using from one of our storytellers. He kind of does his own work here, and then it's really helpful because his ideas usually spark or help our main artist, actually finish those ideas out. So him providing these images is extremely helpful. However, they probably will not be in the game fully at the end. So I think he's gonna have to change some of these. I don't know if we're gonna use those as they are. Did he even give me the item that I need? Oh my gosh. I'll just go ahead and save a few. He didn't even name these files? Oh, that's not great. We're gonna have to name every one of these files now. I'll just call this. I'm just gonna call it this one he's got here, Purple Potion. I'll show you what it is in a minute. You'll see when I import it in. I'm not sure what this one is. Antidote, I guess? I don't know. We'll just save them in for now, and then I'll import them in just a minute. I think this is a food item. We'll just call it Food 1. Because honestly, I don't know what we're gonna call these. Yeah, he's got a plant in here. I don't know what this plant is. I feel like he sent some of these, and I don't know what they are. So we'll just call this Herb 1. Look, there's another food item. All right, well, just name this Food 2. Name it Food 2. Let's see. Does he give me anything else that I want to use right now? He did. His art style is funny. We should do something with his art alone. I think it'd be hilarious. He's got a really funny art style that he's kind of developing, and I don't think he realizes he's developing it. Let's call this a miscellaneous one. That's a weapon. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm gonna save this one. I know technically it was a blade. I'm gonna call it miscellaneous 2 though, because we're just gonna put them in as placeholders for different things. All right, let's see. We got what I want in here for now. I'm gonna save this blaster. We'll call it weapon 1. Weapon 1. Save. Call it weapon 2. And then we'll just call this one, I don't know, arm 1. And then we'll do arm 2. Something I know to do here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we need to get these into the scene. So for sprites, oh, those are script sprites. Battle scene, enemies, items. Looks like I have a cap in here. All right, we're gonna start importing these items. So let's go ahead and just highlight all of them and drag them in. All right. Now I think I can show off some of these. Yeah, there we go. They can show up now. Fantastic, fantastic. Really don't know what that one is. Stem cap, but you can't see it. And then we got weapon 1 and 2. Burn relief little thing. So, all right, so we got some items imported in, which is fantastic. Let's see. Yeah, so main thing that I was wanting to talk tonight about as we do this is kind of just some of the things like why the execution of ideas is difficult, and the hardest part of creative projects. So, I think everybody knows that most people are able to formulate ideas. What is hard is people executing those ideas. So actually being able to make something out of it. That usually becomes the challenging part. So we're gonna preload these assets here. And then we're just gonna drag these in. I do need to name these though, but it's fine. We're gonna fix all this up as we go. Let's see. So generally, when you're creating things, ideas flow, and depending on what you're doing specifically, it can become very cumbersome, I guess, to say the least. It's easy to get over your head, and I'll say one of the easiest thing. Hey, how's it going? Especially in game design, and this is obvious. I think you see this all the time. Is people start developing an idea, they get way too crazy with it, and scope creep takes effect. And before too long, oh, you know what? I just realized I don't even have anything on the screen. Somehow I changed my screen loadout. I apologize. I don't know how that keeps happening. I hope to fix that. I thought we were showing items here this whole time, and we're not. Yeah. So, yeah, generally scope creep is a big one. When we create video games, people typically just get too over their head. No, it is not just your side. I have a scene messed up in the stream thing. You're good. All right, let's see. We got health potion. And I wouldn't really call that a health potion. I don't really know what it is supposed to be that he gave me, but Let me see if he's got it in a list here. Snapfire drink is what he called it. I don't know what a Snapfire drink was supposed to be, but it was supposed to be something. He never even exported all these to me. I have a lot of items that he gave me, but not all of them. So, yeah, generally just games can get too big, but creative items and projects in general can get way too out of hand. Um, I think a lot of people see that, when people are making games. I would say most people, it's going to probably be somewhere around the 80-20 rule. You either get, in my opinion, depending on the expertise of the people, you either get 20% of the way into the project and kill it, or you get 80% of the way through the project and then you can't finish it. For true development teams who are actually showcasing stuff and getting it out there, I think the 80-20 rule typically applies for them to have 80% of the project done, and then they can't deliver the last 20%. I do think that's why a lot of games end up in early access limbo, where they can't get out. That's just my opinion, though. That's also why a lot of developers, especially me, and I'm trying to change that. I get to the 80% and then of what I'm trying to deliver at the time, and then I just decide to switch off. I do something else, Ooh, there's a squirrel kind of thing. So executing on ideas is extremely difficult. I can't say I haven't delivered, though. We've delivered on 2 projects already, which is awesome. So I think that's one of the biggest parts, is being able to deliver something. Although the only thing I haven't fully delivered is a video game yet. I hope that to be the case here in the near future. We do have a card game and we have a comic book series. So those are 2 creative projects from our studio that we've actually launched, developed, and created and have available. Although technically the card game, from my side, it's done. We're just waiting on the art, but that's just resource issues. Our artist is still finishing out issue 2 of the comic book, so he hasn't done the artwork for the card game. Oh, actually, I don't know if this is gonna happen or not, but we have a guy that we know who may be joining our team temporarily over the summer, and he may be helping. So depending on how his art goes, we might have him working on some of the art for the card game, which would be really interesting. So, I don't know. We'll see when May comes around, because that's when the comic book should be done, and our main artist should be freed up. So I'm hoping to get him involved, but at the same time, this other guy's coming on board. So I guess we're just going to see what happens. I mean, if the other guy can do it, it's going to be great, because we can free up our main artist and he can do stuff. I know that's a little off topic of creating things is difficult. But that's what our studio is all about, really, is trying to create ideas. The guy that's actually joining us has an idea for something that he wants to build. And he's been inspired by us creating our own things, because right now we're really focusing on local talent, trying to get them and amped up and get stuff done, get their ideas created. And he's been really excited about the stuff we've been doing, so he's wanting to do some of his own development on some of his things. So that's awesome. And he's kind of wanting to join up, help us, and figure out maybe a way he can create his own things. And that's really cool. So let's see. I'm gonna be a little distracted going back and forth here as I create these items. Let me know if you come across any cheap digital promoters. Man, I'm gonna be honest. That's a difficult one. Do you mean promoters as in actual people, or do you mean like promoters as in like actual sponsorships you feel like can work for you? I think there's a huge difference there. Let's see. Health potion restores. I don't know what number we're actually gonna put here right now. I don't even have coins in the game. Actually, people who can increase visibility. You know, if there was a cheat code I could tell you to help you with that, I would love to, but it'd almost be a trade secret. No, I'm be honest. So if you have a project, I didn't get to ask you this last time, but if you have a project that's actually available now, I am curious to hear about it. That is one of our things that we're trying to do. Actually, we're not only a studio that develops in house, but we're also trying to be a publishing company, and help people get their stuff out there. Obviously, that is a journey because we ourselves are trying to get ourselves out there. So, but I tell you, one of the things we did was just we sent free copies of things to people. I don't have a video of it right now, but on our TikTok, we actually have a video of some creators that I had sent um, some promotional boxes to. So we actually spent a little bit of money. We built these boxes. We put some materials into it. And we sent it off to them. I told them that they didn't have to do an unboxing video or anything, but I made it as cool as possible so they would have like, who wouldn't if you got a cool box like that? So it was really cool seeing them get to open that. I'm hoping to do that again for the comic book this year. Although I think I'm gonna be a little bit more particular about who I pick because shipping is a bitch. Um, I don't know. I wish I could give you a great answer. I would say just honestly reach out to some creators who are more popular. And don't reach out to like you know the huge creators, but look in that space, see if there's somebody like if you create games that are speedrun games. Go find some speedrun creators who are like they have an audience, but it's not too many. Like anywhere from like a couple hundred to maybe a couple thousand, and literally just email them. Shoot them a message on whatever message social platform they have. You may not get a response, but if you send 15 out, I mean, I'm telling you, you'll probably at least get two. Yeah, no, it is honestly, it sucks, but it is a good idea. Um, some might elaborate and ask like what it is specifically that you got going on here, and I don't think that's a bad thing. They're probably just trying to do their due diligence. So, like for instance, if you have a video game, I know you've probably seen a few people do it, but go send them a couple free keys to the game. Downloadable keys, and ask them if they would, just review the game. Don't even ask for video. The biggest thing is getting feedback. If they like it enough, if you feel confident enough to actually send it out there, um, don't ask for something in return. Just say, hey, I wanted to send you this, and I was really hoping that you would, test it out and then give me your opinion. Because in my opinion, the biggest thing is just the fact that they're gonna play it and let you know what they think of it. If they think it's fun enough, they're probably gonna play it on stream, or they're gonna tell people about it in some way. So that's our plan. There's our trade secret. It's not even a trade secret. I mean, everybody tells you to do it. It's just it's difficult doing it. It took me, I don't know, it took me a few weeks, almost a month to find a few creators that I wanted to send our comic books to. And I'm gonna be honest, even though it was cool seeing them promote our stuff, um, I even put a survey. I wanted to know if people were coming from their sites. Granted, we did it way too late. Um, we didn't actually see any traffic from that. But that's okay. I mean, the whole thing was not to get an audience right away. It was to get the word out there about our project. Um, whether it was the fact that it was free or not, the cool thing is they put it out there. Did you set yourself a release target for the game you're making here? Um, kind of. So this wasn't a game we intended to make, I'm gonna be honest. Um, you were here last stream, I think I talked about it. This was a game that was formed out of a game jam. Um, and we're really trying to get one of our other team members involved. So we kind of let all of us throw in, bits and pieces here. And we ended up developing something that was pretty cool. We liked it. It was the closest thing we've had in a while to a finished game. So um, we kind of went for this. So did I set a target for the release date? No. I do have a soft target. That soft target is I do have to have a vertical slice demo by the end of May. Why the end of May? Because from March till September, we start our convention season where we go to anime conventions and gaming conventions. Specifically, we are going to a gaming convention we've already been to. We have a booth, and it is at the end of May. So we will actually be going to that convention, and we're hoping to possibly showcase this game off. And it'd be really great to have a demo available. We had a demo, well, I wouldn't say a demo, we had a prototype of our card game last year, and we took it up there. So I really wanted to have the finished card game this year up there to take, just to show, like, hey, yeah, it's almost done, but it's just not worked out that way, unfortunately. But no, for this one, there's a soft cap target demo in the May. Actually, let me look here. No, I don't actually have a full thing. Well, if you ever need a review or a tester, I'll be up for it. Absolutely, no doubt. There's a few different things that we're gonna need testers for in the future. There's this one, obviously, that will be sent out, I'm sure, once it's actually available or getting to the point where it's available, and we want to showcase it or share it with people. We'll actually probably be putting some stuff out. There's another one I really want a lot of testers for. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I do want a few testers for it. I'm very excited about it. I'm worried on the technical side of it if I'm going to be able to pull it off. It ain't like an MMORPG or anything, but it does have networking things tied to it. So I'm a little worried about that one, but it's so freaking cool. I'm pumped up about that one. I mean, I'm excited for this one too, but this other one's been an idea that's been in the back of my head. Which brings us back to the whole topic of games, and ideas being hard to execute on. That whole reason right there is I've had multiple great ideas, a lot of people do, and it's hard to execute and actually develop those ideas and get them finished. Is not an easy thing. In fact, I was actually watching a video today. There was a game, big scandal, and this happens honestly too often in Kickstarter, and I hate it because it's getting games on Kickstarter a bad reputation. It's almost like don't launch a video game Kickstarter because it's gonna be viewed as a scam. But it was a Kickstarter game. People threw it up, and they raised like $2 million, and then obviously it went downhill from there. Long story short, it failed. Not because of scope creep, honestly, like most of them do. This one failed because they just didn't know what they were doing, anyways. But yeah, that's one of the big reasons that when we launch our Kickstarters, like we're trying to have the projects done. Like we've already sunk in the time and development cost into it. So typically when we do Kickstarters, which goes back to what you were asking about, like how do we get visibility? Kickstarter is one of our ways. It's not the best way, um, but we feel it helps because we have a local support system. They're really great about helping us and funding us. So friends and family of ours support us and usually get us to the goal or almost to the goal, and that really helps on the algorithm. Um, it helps us put up there on the page. We got a little bit from that fact, and we didn't set the goal low or anything. It was a decent amount, I thought, but uh, we got funded in 24 hours. So I'm a little scared about doing a video game though on Kickstarter, but same thing's going to apply. Like, we're not going to say, oh, we got this really cool idea and we just need money to create it. No, it's going to be backwards. We're going to create a game. We're going to have people test it. We're going to develop it. We're going to be like dang near ready to release it. And then to get people pumped up and get them extra stuff, we're going to launch a Kickstarter. Kickstarter for us is more like gauging how people are interested in something and specific items that they want. It also just it's a big thing about uh, almost like pre-ordering. It's just a big promotional thing for us. Uh, it's not like hey we're asking for money to get funded. It's hey we're asking for money because if you want anything extra with this, we're gonna build these packages and do these things and create this cool stuff. That's what all the extra stuff is for. That's what the money's for. Like, hey, we're gonna create 3D prints of some character and send them out or whatever it is. We don't even have a mana potion. We'll just make the herb. We'll make the herb the mana potion. So we'll say mana herb, mana herb, mana herb. Sure, we'll leave it at 30, I guess. It is an item. We'll have to release that. Actually, I'm just gonna remove this whole thing. Preload. And then we're going to get the herb. Heal. Okay. There we go. Preload. Don't know what we're preloading, but we're going to preload something. So do you have a game that you're creating, by the way? I know you've been talking about uh, some different things. Let's see here. I don't know. What other items do we have that I want to put in here right now? We have a health potion. We have a mana potion. Um, I don't know what other items do I want to put in here right now. I don't even know what stats are going to affect. We have a critical strike. We have a defense. We have health, mana. Um, we could. Hmm. I don't know. I don't want to use a weapon per se. We have a couple different food items, so we could have multiple healing available. I don't want to really use an arm. I might use one of these miscellaneous and say it's like an attack or something. Maybe we can do that. Let's do that. We'll say, and this will be called not elixir, but um, we'll just call it what it is. Dragon head. Got a small one that's 90% ready and one that's 20% big one that will take ages. By the way, it takes like 20 seconds for the chat to show. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. There is a delay for sure. Um, Dragon head. Let me see if I can do this. Might be easier. Oh, come on now. Where's it at? Can't get on here. Should allow us to look. Let's see. All right, there we go. Maybe I can read what's going on now a little faster. So you have two games that are in the works. Three, technically, right? I'm assuming I think you mentioned Unity or Godot. Attack enemy for X damage. Price 200. We got the head. Type. I forgot what types I had. Yeah, we're going to do damage. We'll do, I don't know, 50 or something like that. And then I do have one. I'm going to put a food item. Unity, just two games, big one and small one. Is it just you, solo dev? Or you got like a few people working with you? I don't really like putting numbers. Oh, why does it keep doing that to me? Do I have hotkeys like bind it or something? It's really annoying. Let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't find it. Oh yeah, yeah. I think you mentioned that. That is cool. It's hard stuff for sure. I think I mentioned before, but I've been developing games since 2016 and have yet to fully release a game. Um, obviously, my first idea was way too ambitious. Um, that goes back to the whole thing that we're talking about with ideas being easy, execution being hard. Um, I developed a few different games, um, and they just never seen a light of day. Uh, but I learned something every time. Is what it is. Let's see. Did I have? Trying to think. If there was another game. There was a game before this. There was an Aether Forge, which I was working on, but it was my first fully developed game in Godot. So I did terrible by that game, and I still owe that game a lot of attention because I want to create that one. Actually, I have to create that one. It's very big to our universe. Um, I don't think I've even talked about the universe thing. Uh, we actually have like a massive universe. It's a play on pandas. Pandara's Nexus is what it's called. I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek there. Um, there's a huge lore that we're kind of building. This universe that we developed with some of the lore that we're doing allows us to inject worlds and ideas into the universe, and they can be connected. We can also inject worlds, and they don't have to be connected at all because it is an entire universe. They do not need to be, you know, representation of everything. Um, so there's ideas like some of our guys that just joined. They have ideas for stories, and we're like, yeah, maybe that doesn't need to match what we're doing. You can kind of have that being its own thing. It doesn't have to tie in at all, um, or it can. We're trying to set up some guidelines so that not only us, but later on in the future, we'd love to have fans write their own. And I wouldn't really say fans, but community people write their own stories within the lore guidelines of our world. I think that'd be really cool. Just giving them, hardline guidelines and saying, hey, you can do these stories as long as you don't, you know, do X, Y, and Z. Kind of similar to how some of I think was it Dragon Ball or Naruto's creator? I think it was Naruto's creator. Said don't kill off any of my characters unless it's like a meaningful way or something. So he like gave them guidelines like create a story how you want, but don't destroy everything on your way. Um, that's kind of what we want to do. It's what we plan to do. So, and that's why the Aether Forge game, the one that was before this, is very important because there's a very important piece of lore that's hidden within that very simplistic idea of a game. Um, but that game actually was spawned from the issues of complexity. Yeah, generally we get way too ambitious with our video game ideas. So it'd be oh I don't just noticed that all the music stopped and that's not cool. I don't like it. Bothers me. Make sure that's flipped on. We get way too ambitious with our ideas sometimes. So one of the things that I've tried to do um, as the main game designer is try to implement assist like just simplicity. Is that the game you mentioned you really want to work on? No, unfortunately not. Um, no, honestly, I have way too many ideas, too many things I want to work on. Um, the game I'm working on in kind of similar to what you said with like the 20%, how you have one game at like 20%. I wouldn't even say that mine's at 20%. Mine's at like 5%. I'm at the stage of proving technology with that game. Um, no, unfortunately not. Um, yeah, we generally we get way too ambitious with our games. So my whole goal with the game that I was working on before this one was simplicity, simple, almost asteroid uh, style like gameplay. So it was a space shooting, space sim game. I think that's where we kind of screwed up, space sim. But I was pretty confident in my abilities to make a very simplistic 2D game that didn't have a ton of mechanics. My issue was I didn't set the architecture up right. So that's how this game spawned into life from a game jam. I really wanted to try some new architecture, um, and it worked. And now I'm like, dang, I think I can do a lot better with everything else and build games faster. You know, um, it's like having the blueprints for a house before you build it. It's like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. Before that, I was kind of just trying to figure out how to build a house, essentially. Like, just yeah, I don't know. Do I buy nails first and put those in, and then buy wood? I don't understand. Um, I felt confident as a logic guy that I could create something, but the issue was I didn't know how. And I just realized that this is not called Dragon Head. This is called Dradon Head for the name. And it's also the same as the ID, and I don't know why I did that. This, okay. Now, the game that I really want to work on, there's a couple of them. And I say there's a couple of them, but they're really tied to the same universe. Not universe. I don't want to say universe because I just mentioned a universe. Um, they're tied to the same world. Let me say that. So there's a worlds within Pandora's Nexus, right? And how these worlds formed is kind of something that we haven't talked about yet, and don't think we're ready to. But there is a reason that these worlds are formed. So there's a world that's formed. It's a world that I've not really talked about online as much, but I've talked about to a lot of people locally, friends, family, which is Dungeon Divers is the world that I'm making. So from Dungeon Divers, I kind of took in a lot of inspiration from several different things over time, and I started to create this world out of it. The one thing that I'm really bad at personally, though, is story driven, like specifically honing in on a story. What's really funny is I'm typically better at, like, for some reason, creating like 4X strategy. Like, I can build a world, I can build the guidelines of a world, but I can't say, yeah, okay, so over here's Jim Bob, and he's got a quest to go do something. I can, but I can't make it interesting. Or I'm not happy with it typically. Um, so I'm really trying to create guidelines for this. So from that world, there's actually two games that I know I'm making, or want to make. One of them is one that I've been dying to make, and I won't get to make it for probably several years. I hoped one day to be able to make it. Um, the other one is something that I can make. It's just how well it's going to be made, or to what level it can be made. Because there's a part of it that's already proven. Like, I've got it, it's shown, it's all there. But unfortunately, it is tied to more of a multiplayer style system, which is where they always get you. But this game literally can't not be that. It has to live with a server client architecture. So I have to make it. Like, I have to figure out how to make sure that I am able to understand and create a server client game system. It's gonna be really challenging. I ain't gonna lie. So a lot of the front end, and this is the game that I really want to work on. This one I'm talking about right now, which I'll just let you know. The name of it, working title, is Codex Rift. Still tied to the Dungeon Divers world, but it has to be server client. You will communicate with the server, send information back and forth, and I've never done that before. The demos are going to be a lot more local based. Starting out, they'll probably be on the actual device itself. That's kind of how I'm improving a lot of the technology so far, or not the technology, but more the mechanics of the game. It's really cool. So I'm really excited about that one. I do hope to show that one before too long. It is also one that I've kind of given myself a soft deadline of May. I hope to have that one somewhat, like, some portion of it being available by May, to show people at the conventions. I don't know how, though. So one of the things I didn't mention is it's going to be a mobile game, which I've never created a mobile game before, so that will also be interesting. I was like, didn't I just create a health potion? It's not health potion, though, it's food. I just need to call it health food. Health food. I don't really want to put. Let's see. What is it? We have food one. Let's call it a. What is that? Is that a cinnamon roll? I don't know what Sam gave me. I have no idea. I don't know what that is, man. Is that a burrito with icing on it? Don't worry about the skills you don't have yet. You should put it on your to-do list and get to it when you need it. Back in is not that bad and way easier these days. Yeah, no. I agree, and that's kind of why, even though I don't know how to do it, I was like, I can figure it out. Like, we'll figure it out. I've set a lot of stuff up, um, to kind of prepare for that. I know a little bit of like back end stuff, but not enough to be like, yeah, I know all of this. Um, I ain't even gonna boast like I do. Like, I, I don't know. Um, but I am a logics guy. I can make things typically um, dance. I would say a marionette. Oh man, give me 1 second. Yeah, no, one of the people's doors got open. I was trying to make sure I didn't wake them up, being loud. Um, no, the game was too cool, um, to let my inability of back end skills, uh, let it die. So, I just said, hey, you know what? We'll just create it and we'll demo it, um, and show people what we're trying to build and see how they think. Because honestly, I don't want to build this entire architecture for this game and it not even be cool. Although I really don't think that's going to be the case. Like, I really don't. Great, I could be wrong. You know, typically I feel like those are the projects that you get excited about. People are like, I didn't really like it. But it just seems really cool. And honestly, at the same time, I don't really care if people don't like it because it's something I want to do, and that's how we've always viewed everything here. Like, even our comic book, regardless if we make our Kickstarter goal or not, like, these projects are getting made one way or another. So they'll be alive. Now, my game, it does have a server client side system, so like I would have to pay for that if it actually went live, but don't think it won't actually like come to fruition eventually. Like, that is the goal. It will be alive. Um, may not be alive long, but it'll always exist as a uh, client side thing, essentially, because I want to play it. Is there a way to get this thing bigger? I seen a guy the other day messing around. He had like, dude had so much experience in Godot. Um, he was able to get this thing to do whatever he wanted. It looked like. I wish I was able to do that, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'd love to get this bigger. Let's see. So this is the item that we're doing. interesting item, isn't it? I mean, it's a sweet roll, right? A churro with icing? I don't know. He didn't give me any explanation on these. Like not one. Let me look. Let me make sure he didn't like send me a list and said, "Hey, this is what this is." I don't think he did though. I don't even remember seeing this being on there. Let me look. No, he did. He did send it. He said this was a rolled sweet, so I guess we'll just call it that. Health rolled sweets, and then we'll just call this rolled sweets. Sounds like a plan, right? Yeah, it's a sweet pastry thing. Yeah, no, for sure. He's got another one here. I'm gonna download this picture and show it. This is the list he gave me, but I don't even have all these sprites. So he's got rolled sweets, Snapfire drink. I wish he gave me this dragon horn leg piece. He didn't give me that though. Gladiate bar. That's funny. The dude's kind of funny. He's hilarious. He didn't give me all these items though, unfortunately. That's okay. Well, this is gonna be worth 2. We're not gonna raise our defense. We're gonna restore health by 15 HP. How did I put it up top? Oh, I just put restores number health. Restores 15 HP. I'll say health. I think that sounds better. Item type heal HP. Value is gonna be 2 coins. We're not gonna have a duration on that. There we go. How do you mean he didn't give them to you like that? Like, oh yeah, in separate files. Yeah, he didn't. So he gave me the image, but he didn't give them to me. With the background disabled and everything, and no lettering. He's new to this. He mainly creates stories, but he kind of like does his own art, essentially. And it's actually really interesting because he actually originally came to us and showed us what he had, and it was a stick figure comic. And we was like, yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Like, you know, regardless if it's stick figures or not, like it's really polished. Like we can tell you put your time into it. Like this is awesome. And he has old story like lined out and everything. And I thought he was like me, like can't draw for nothing, because this is what he always said. But man, through this game jam, he started showing us some like items and stuff. And I'm not saying they're like professional, but they're dang good. Like he did pretty good on it. Oh, export the image and everything? Yeah, nah, it's all good. I appreciate it. They're not even gonna be used. Scene slipped. Man, I appreciate you saying that. I don't know why that keeps doing this. I'm gonna have to mess around with that when I get off and make sure that there's not some hotkeys. It shouldn't even be interacting with my system, and I can't even find the hotkeys for it that it's doing that. So I appreciate you saying that. Sometimes I don't catch that because something pops up over top of the screen. It's very frustrating though that they even showed up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, unfortunately these items are probably going to only be around for a little bit. they may end up getting replaced with art from our actual artist. So they're kind of like placeholder art items right now. He just had a lot of time on his hands and was creating some stuff. So we told him, like, go ahead and, shoot your shot at giving us items, and we'll put them in the system. So I'm trying to get him in here so I can show him what it is that he had and show him in the system. I don't know if I set it up or not. It should be in here, but it may not be. Let me look at the shop. I don't know if the shop is pulling or not. Shop. No, get shop items. It's not pulling right now. I have a preset items from the game jam that were in here instead. And I think we wrote a function to get items, get all items. And it turns in a results. And does this match? It's going to return the ID. Name. Shop. Where is the shop? Let me make sure this isn't going to mess up. Staging. Shop. I need to close every one of these. I don't even use these anymore. I'll keep one open for reference stuff, but I'll close the rest of these. I don't like scrolling across the top anymore. Got way too many scenes open. We're not even using them. That's not it. Don't really need a trial manager open. Shop UI. Items. I don't know why I even did that. I already knew what I was doing. We create items. Create shop item buttons. Name. Item. Let's see. I think. Label. Item dictionary. Oh, man. Yeah, this ain't gonna be set up right here. Makes sense, though. It's all good. I'll have to fix that. Let's see. Um, I'll have to get it. I'll just get it later. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that. Sweet roll. We need to set a preload for. Sweet roll. I always forget to add that comma. I've been doing that a lot today. I finally got to like work on a project for work, and it's been a minute since I've been in the old system that I used to work in, and I've been like trying to add a bunch of stuff in JSON and just constantly forgetting to add like a comma on just like every freaking time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Uh Going back to the whole like ideas are easy and execution's hard. I have multiple journal like little books and everything that have like tons of ideas in them, written out with like genres and like a little brief summary of what they are, maybe a small sketch, moods, types and everything. Um, but again, execution is what's the difficult part. And sometimes when you start executing, you realize that it actually sucks. I did that once. I never thought I would actually create a game and then stop and look at it and say, this is a pile of dog crap. uh, I think I mentioned this last time, but I had this game in the concept of my mind from a programmer standpoint. It was cool, and I'm sure it could have been a cool game. I actually thought about ways I could have fixed it later on in the future. I was like, oh, I could probably fix that by doing, X, Y, and Z. But it was one of them things like I sat there and I finished it, and it was a little like puzzle game. So the whole goal was to get your guy from the start point to the end point, and you were climbing a dungeon or going down. I don't remember. Regardless, it was a time-based game, and there was like it was on a grid, so you would rotate. If you ever played what's that game called? There's like several versions of it. It's like Slime or something. Basically, you have to rotate the pipes, the plumbing, to get the fluid to the end. That's essentially what you're doing. But you had to fix the tiles in the dungeon so that your guy could run to the exit and get to the next level or whatever it was. Got all that math worked out, got it all working. Even set it up so that it was doing procedural generation. So I didn't have to create every single level. It would just spawn random levels with like the guidelines that I gave it. And I was super excited about it. Like, I was so stoked that I finally got this game working. I went to show my dad, and I pulled it up and I showed him. And he kind of looked at it and was like, okay, like, what do I do? I don't understand. I was like, yeah, well, it sounded cooler when I talked about it in my head. Now that I showed you, I kind of feel like that was dumb. The game actually ended up, I think I put it on itch at one point. I think it's actually still on itch. And one of the comments was, I don't know what to do. Is this it? I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm not ever updating this game again. I was like, this is done. I'm killing this one. In my opinion, I feel like it's the only game I've ever killed for not being fun. The rest of them either got killed primarily just due to the fact that I wasn't skilled enough to do it at the time, or we didn't have the ability to do it at the time. We really want to make 3D games, which cannot happen right now. But I am really against it for a few reasons. And that was just because one, our artist is a perfectionist, and he loves his art to be pristine, and he spends a lot of time on his 3D models. The other one is depending on what kind of 3D game we were making, there was a lot of complexities with physics and looking and stuff, especially in Unreal Engine, which is what we were using. That came into play, and at the time, I just didn't know what I was doing, and I would have to watch like 15 tutorials just to figure out like what it was. Googling everything, and I'm still like, I follow this tutorial, I take bits out of it, I try to recreate it, and it just wasn't working. Am I good at designing puzzle mechanics for games like that pipe game? I mean, yeah, generally. I made a few games. I think I could have brought this one game to market, but I just didn't see what the point was. My first game ever was a game called Drop Shot. Actually, I like making puzzle games. It's not this one. Let me look for. Do I not have it on here anymore? Oh my gosh, it's not there anymore. That's crazy. Did I remove it? This is forever ago. This is one of my first games I ever created, and I don't have it. What the heck are you talking about, man? I don't know what I put it on then. That's cool. It sucks. But basically, it was a game where you dropped a, and my screen did it again. Why? I didn't. It's crazy. Um, no wait, it is here. It's actually under our studio. Okay, that's interesting. Let me pull this one up. I know. I don't know what hotkey it is. Actually, I have a feeling I know which one it is. Let me just. I'm gonna type it in. Nope, didn't do it. It's got to be some combination of keys. I can't find it right now. Anyways, let's see if this will actually run. And Unity, back in the day, this was the first game engine I started on was Unity. Went to Unity, Unreal, Game Maker, Godot. So this game is allowed. I didn't know what I was doing with the UI, so you can see that the text is off the screen. This doesn't even actually technically fit on the screen, but you can go full screen. So then we hit here. All right, so the whole thing is, when you click, you get your ball, and then you just drop it, and you're trying to get in the hole, which I am just succeeding amazingly at right now. Typically it's not that easy. Yeah, there you go. And I never added like a life counter on it. There's that one. I think I only made like 5 levels or something. But I've always really enjoyed like what? Congratulations. There's a hitbox issue. And there it is. King Panda Studio. Thanks for playing. Start over. Coming soon. There is no coming soon. It's not coming soon. There's never gonna be another coming soon on it. Yeah, so I've created a few different puzzle games. I really enjoy puzzles. I actually bought this book. I don't know if it's gonna be able to be seen or not. Nope. Yeah, I didn't figure because it's black. It's a Dungeons and Dragons book called Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons. I specifically bought it to give me more ideas on puzzles and traps and stuff like that. Where did you get the inspiration for the drop shot game? Not seen anything like that before. You know the Panko. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. it's called I think it's called Panko. It's a Japanese like gambling game. We have some in the States too. Let me look it up. Panko machine. No, okay, it's not Panko. What's it called? Gambling ball machine. Japan. It's called something. Pachinko. Yes. Pachinko. Yes, yeah. Pachinko, yes. I always love those games. Or if you ever play those games where you drop the quarters in and they hit the slots and you try to get them into the buckets. Um, that is where the inspiration came from. Just something super arcadey that was really fun. And I always found games like that to be extremely fun for me. But I don't like I don't like gambling. I'm not a big gambler. I mean, people like gambling. That's cool. I'm not a big gambler. I don't like it. I'm really big about like not losing money. So yeah. Uh, so making a game that was just something that resembled that, but didn't actually have anything at stakes, was fun for me. Um, no, they're really fun. I'm watching the live stream back. It's old, and yeah, it definitely did flip to I see. Well, that was old too. I don't know. That's really weird with the whole like hotkeys thing. Wish I could figure it out, but I'm not gonna try to figure it out on stream. That's ridiculous. Um, yeah, but that's where the inspiration came for that one. I've always enjoyed doing games like that. I think they're fun. The only problem is, in my opinion, games like that become hard to make, hard to bring to market, I would say. People aren't typically going to want to pay for those, and I don't feel like paying $100 for Steam to host a free game on there. I'd rather just throw it up on itch if I was going to make something like that. Now, what I've considered doing in the past was creating um, some games with multiple mini games in it, kind of like that. I think that would be really fun. Not like Jackbox or anything, but just inside of a big game, like just having little like things like that. Um, Actually, what game was it? I seen somebody doing it recently, or maybe I did it. It was in World of Warcraft. Um, World of Warcraft had this system, and I don't know if they're trying to like make it a big thing. I only seen it one time, and it was like a lock system for a game. So a lot of people know the Skyrim unlocking system, where you just turn a key, and that's kind of like its own little mini game. World of Warcraft decided to go a different direction. They created this. The larger game I'm working on is actually just that. It's a larger world game that has a lot of mini games. That's smart. I ain't gonna lie. Like those games slap for great reasons. They're fun. And that's all a game has to be is fun. So that's awesome. I'm really interested in that now. That is really cool. Um, but World of Warcraft did this thing where there was gears inside of a chest, and you had to remove the gear that was going in the opposite direction to unlock the box. And I just thought that was like, I'm sure somebody else has done it, but in a lot of games nowadays, you just don't see something like that. I just thought it was interesting. Now, I think the simplicity of their game was too simple. I really think they could have like really built something really cool out of that. Like, oh, I don't know, man. I just imagine like gears everywhere, and you're trying to find it, like almost like Where's Waldo. But they just did like 4 gears, and one of them was spinning the opposite way, and I was like, yeah, okay. It was cool. It was cool though. You've got me really interested in that though. With all the mini games, I love doing mini games. My favorite game that basically is that is Pokemon Stadium. So absolutely adore that game. Like coolest thing in the world. And games like Fall Guys incorporate that a little bit too. They don't have as many like little game mechanics like that. Oh, another big one is obviously Mario Party. That's a huge game like that does that. That's a really cool one. I love all the little mechanics that are in there because you don't have to build an entire world around that mechanic. You just have to make it work for that one little game, which is really cool. Okay, I'm gonna make his gladiator bar. Gladi. It's called a gladiator. Gladi bar. I don't know what he put. Uh, Gladiate bar. If you like making that kind of mini games, we should work together sometime in the future, perhaps. I really don't want to code 20 mini games. I am down mainly for the challenge. Um, I love making uh, mini games and specifically puzzles. I always find it very challenging and fun. So I'm not against ideas like that. 8. Claddy 8 bar. Specifically going back to puzzles, one of the dungeon diver games that I was working on or coming up ideas for, um, there was a whole mechanic of that where you would have to go open chests, like hidden rooms and stuff. But I didn't want you just going and open the door. I wanted there to be some challenge. Like I always really enjoy those games, and I hate myself because I'm not very good at them. But I always like those games where you have to be observant. Um, and like you'll go into the next door or room, and you won't be thinking about it, and something will say, I don't know, how many yellow beams did you pass on the way in here in the previous room? And you're like, oh shit, I wasn't paying attention to 20. I wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't know. Or games where you have to like turn statues a specific way, and there's like little things around the room that basically show you the answers. I don't know, stuff like that is always really cool. So I wanted to put some of those in my game. Gladiator bar. I'll let you know though, it's been forever since I've used Unity. Um, I think it's one of the hardest parts. Going back to game ideas and everything, the hardest part when you're getting into game development, even if you know what you're doing, you got to learn the entire game engine. Like if you don't know how the game engine works and the functions that they have developed inside their own game engine and how they operate, man, that's one of the biggest pain in my butts ever. Um, that's why I always hate changing game engines. But it's cool that I have changed so many times and I've seen everything, or not. I would say everything. I've seen a lot. I've used a lot, and I felt more comfortable with Godot just because I don't know. It made more sense to me. Um, I'm sure Unity would too now if I ever went back to it with my experience in the career field that I am in, and everything. But generally, it's just something I haven't touched Unity in forever. A Gladiate bar is going to restore 5 health. It's going to cost 6 and we're gonna put a duration, and we're gonna put it for 5 seconds. Wait, I did that wrong. 5. And the price is gonna be 6. This will be interesting to see how this actually works. I tell you, so I may have mentioned this, or maybe I didn't. Actually, I didn't even show the progress of this off since last time. Not much visually to look at, but when I get the visuals, I mean, it'll be very easy to implement. I'm a Logix guy, so things just work. But like, I got this missions here. We have the stuff set up. My images are a little shoddy, but I gotta get them on there a little bit better. So we can select a fighter. It prepares it. In fact, we can actually see that if we check the remote and look at our global manager. You can see it loaded up the scene with Hobgoblin Fighter. And now we can just go to our shuttle, which is where you're going to do your loadout. I don't have anything here right now, so I just have a ready button and a close button, which I don't even know if I made the close button work. It does not work right now. But we click the ready button, and we are now in a fight. So one of the things that, wow, I didn't even realize that doesn't work. Makes sense though. When you attack and defend, right now it's very simplistic, and that's fine and everything, but I don't know, I just want to give this game like more oomph to it. Like, it's gotta have something, almost to like something to the degree of what's it called? Clair Obscure 33. Expedition 33. When you're attacking and then you're defending, you have to like hit the button at the right time. I ain't gonna be able to do anything that cool, but I would like to implement some type of mechanic where you need to do something. That way it gives the player like something to do and gives them almost a feeling of like control in the game. So I ain't worried about it right now. I'm just gonna make the base system work, and I'm gonna add on to that later. But it is something I'm keeping in the back of my mind as I create this turn-based RPG. It's like, we got to add something to make, it have flair. Like, it's got to pop. So it's gonna be interesting. I haven't figured out what that thing is yet. I've come up with like a couple ideas. Don't know if they're gonna work the way I want them to work or whatever. One of the things that I've thought about doing is a chain combo. So you're doing something, you gotta like do almost similar to like, I don't know, maybe like Guitar Hero or something. Essentially it's like you gotta hit a sequence of buttons, and if you do it right, yeah, get some kind of bonus or whatever. So that is one of those. Yeah, I think I talked about this earlier, but a big thing about games like not coming to life, fruition, it's literally just prototyping projects. Like I prototyped that one and I killed it because it just wasn't fun. Or if you find glaring issues and it's like, oh well, this isn't gonna work, or mechanics don't feel the right way, or they don't like they're not gonna function the way you thought they were gonna function. Maybe the game isn't possible technically. I don't know about that last one, but it depends on what you're doing. I mean, heck, for the instance, I think the guys who made that game, there was a sand game, and the sand falls and interacts with things a certain way. Like, certain game engines don't handle that really well. So you usually have to create your own. Console games work that way. Button combos, do they not work that way anymore? I've been out of the console games for decades. A lot of newer ones do. A lot of newer. I don't play a lot of turn-based games. I'm not, I think it's funny. I don't play a lot of turn-based games because I don't like a lot of turn-based games all the time. Um, doesn't mean I don't play them. Um, they're just not my biggest thing. I like action RPG more. But yes, a lot of newer turn-based RPGs do have some type of mechanic in them that does that. Even older games did it. Final Fantasy, I think, it started implementing that in. But a lot of the older Final Fantasies back in the day, I don't think they had stuff like that. It was just very simple turn-based. Obviously, with the more complex visuals and things like, Expedition 33, um, they're able to do a little bit more than what we've done. And I want to try to do something. It's not like I have to be different, but I would like to do something different if possible, but something that's fun. And I don't know if chain combos is exactly what it is going to be. But yeah, prototype your game for sure, absolutely. If it ain't fun, ain't nobody gonna play it, and you might not eventually have fun making it. I'll tell you something else that kills me when I'm making a game is being my own QA. It sounds crazy, but I get so sick of playing my own game. It's not that it can be bad. It's just after, the 5,000 time and you're still early on in development of you playing the game to make sure some code change worked. Man, it takes a toll on you. You're just like, God dang, like I don't want to mess with this thing anymore. But that's why it's important to take breaks too. So, don't be pushing yourself too hard. You can lose motivation in projects very easily. Aside from scope changes, I mean, that's a whole nother ball game. And you can have scope changes, but they have to be manageable. You can't say, I'm not going to ship this game because I want to add this. It needs to be, I'm going to ship this game and I want to add this. And if I get around to it before it ships, then great. If I don't, then I'm just going to add it in later because we live in a world now where you can easily update games. So scope creep is one of them things where you need to identify your MVP 100%. Just say, hey, this is what I want to deliver. For instance, my whole thing, I am delivering a turn-based RPG. It will not have anything like chain combos or anything in it. We will add that later if we get around to it. Would it help with the polish of the game? Absolutely. But just to get the game to ship, do I need it in there? No, I don't. I do not need it in there. It could increase the, experience of the game. It could. But at the end of the day, I think it's more important to get your project out there, and you can always update it. I mean, we live in a world where patches come out all the time. Is the basic combat cycle finished on that game you have set up at the moment? It kind of was, but not anymore. I think in the last stream I kind of showed you that I had to change some stuff. So the old system, I don't even know if it's going to work anymore. The old system worked like this. So you could do the multi-enemy selection, or you could have a single enemy, you could hit them, and then they'd come back and hit you. It worked. You can literally play this game right now on itch for our game jam submission. But what doesn't work is the fact that this was set up with the player entity existing for each individual level, which means you had to go in there and go edit the player for every single level scene, which is not what you're going to want to do for a full release. Especially now that we're changing this from a game jam game to a full cycle game where there's going to be like, stuff going on and your player has to persist with their stats. I don't know why I didn't set it up that way to begin with. It was just easy, cop out, just say, oh, yeah, every time we create this scene, like this scene here, I'm gonna have to go in here and then edit this player's stats, which I removed them all, so they're not here anymore. But there used to be stats on this, and you'd have to go and edit every stat on this character. You can still see it on the enemy. The enemy has them that way, but that's fine to have the enemies this way, in my opinion, with the way we're building this game, because I don't anticipate enemies coming back. So they're set up. The enemies are set up, configured that one time. Their entity in general, and that it just is what it is. There is no, alterations or variations of them coming. Uh, so, yes, the combat cycle technically is finished, but now it has to be reintegrated into the new system with the player manager controlling everything. Which is why this scene doesn't work right now. Well, I think if you play it this way, it might work. No, it doesn't say it doesn't work. Which, I mean, there's not even an enemy in here, but that's why this scene doesn't work, though. That's why I can select an enemy and I can go to the mission and it looks like it's ready to go, but you can see none of it's imported, and that's probably because I never set it up to pull the player manager information, guaranteed. Which is obviously the problem there. So, it's one of the things where it's like, a few steps forward, 10 steps back kind of thing. Got to redo it now. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Where was I? Item dictionary. Skills. I don't have any skills. I do have some default skills. These were what we had in the base game that never got utilized. But they're gonna be different now. So I don't have those set up right now. So we're going to. I think we had one more food item in here. Yeah, we have Bob's Big Chips. I don't know, man. We'll put it in. Did I? Should be fine. We'll say health Bob Big Chip. Bob's Big Chips. Restores 20 health. No, not 201. 20 health. It's going to cost, we'll say, 10, 15. I don't even know. We did not one of them things. And then we're going to say 20 health and then no duration. Must be getting late there. How long do you usually go for? Usually shoot for an hour to an hour and a half. I'm actually past that moment. But getting these items in, so I'll be wrapping up here in a few minutes. Yeah, honestly, going into it, executions is a skill that I hope I have. I do want to finish this game, and I'll be so excited actually getting an actual game out there. I'll be so excited getting a game out to Steam. That'd be awesome. Regardless if people buy it or not, man, it would be cool to at least make my money back off of it. But at the end of the day, just being able to get something out the door and allow people to experience it, or just say, "Hey, I finished this," is absolutely awesome. And I think it's just going to hit different than saying, "Hey, I have a game on itch." Hey, I have a game on Steam. Like, I've released a game, self-published my own game, regardless of if it succeeded or not. And it's important for us as a studio to create those things and get those things out there because we're trying to inspire people to, you know, make their own stuff, and especially people who are local, because we have a lot of people who are local who have a lot of talent and want to get into stuff like this, but they don't know how or if it's even feasible. And um, we want to be that group that people can come to, and we want to help support them. Um, so it's really important for us to build our own reputation and say, hey, look, regardless of if it succeeded or not, we've published, we've executed these things, we've got these things out there, we've made money on some of these things. You know, we've made money on our comic books, we've made money on our card game, even though it's not fully finished. It is making money. People are interested, and there is an audience for the card game and for the comic book. Hopefully, there will be, you know, an audience and everything for our video games as they come out as well. So it's going to be difficult, but execution is very important. It's hard getting to that point, though. You know, polish is difficult, but I think streams are more fun when you can watch somebody working on a game and it's polished. I know that sounds weird, but that's just me. Um, when somebody's doing stuff like me where they're setting up the beginnings of everything, I don't find it as fun. I think polishing a video game is way more fun. I like watching people polish a game. You know, they're adding tweaks, they're fixing little animations here and there, they're adding new items, kind of like what I'm doing. Um, I think those are more interesting things to watch. And typically, that's where you get most of your audience, in my opinion, too, is during that polish stage when you're going in and fixing some of those items, is, you know, or fixing, you know, little things, adding tweaks, adding a little, like, you know, rising counter button when you do a critical or something, whatever it is, just little animations or something. Um, Huge. And generally, once you've actually executed something, I feel like you have a bigger percentage of, you know, executing and finishing something later on, which was why it was so huge for us to get not only our comic book but the card game out. As far as start streaming yourself, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't stream because I want to be a content creator. I'm gonna be like straight honest with that. I do not want to be a content creator. However, I think it's important to stream for multiple reasons. Um, I kind of use this as my opportunity to talk about things, um, keep myself in a routine, make sure that I'm kind of keeping myself on track with stuff and, you know, everything. Um, it also allows me to kind of do a studio journal, essentially, journey map, like saying, "Hey, this is what we did," you know, kind of like devlog things. I have a few videos that I'm gonna have to cut up and post. I'm still trying to get used to it again. We usually do a lot of streaming um, during our convention season, especially when me and my artist are actually on it together. Worth it then doing the streaming? Is that what you're asking? If it's worth streaming? I mean, if you're asking if it's worth streaming, it can be. I wouldn't make it. Don't treat streaming as I need to be a content creator. Um, it's difficult to deal with, but think it more as um, just blogging, I guess. Like, I appreciate you being here. Um, but even if you weren't here, I would still get on here and I have little outline. It's not scripted. I have an outline that I'm going by, you know, and I allow it to let me branch off because I like to ramble. So I'm just, you know, doing things and reading off of what I'm wanting to talk about and if it's an update on the studio or if it's something I'm doing specific, like every time I get on here, it's probably going to be keyed towards a specific talking point, which is why I keep talking about games and their executions, which, I mean, I think that's the title of the stream anyways. It needs to be a blog, though. It needs to be a development discussion and not you trying to entertain people. That's not what you're on to do. You're on to talk about specific things. Can it be entertaining? Absolutely it can. Am I entertaining? No. I don't try to be a content creator. I've just never been one. I just don't care to be. The hardest thing for me, honestly, is getting on here and hitting the live button. And I know a lot of people who are doing streams have struggles with that, who want to be streamers at first, but this is not something I've ever inspired to do. Like, I've never been like, oh man, I really just want to be a content creator, on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, live streaming. Not that I don't enjoy it, and I do have fun interacting with people. But it's not been one of them things. I'm not a big person on social media. I would love to hire a social media manager at some point. I can be on video. That's fine. That's not a problem. It's difficult for me to want to set up everything and come up with the scripts or what we got to talk about or whatever. I'd rather have somebody handle that information, or set up the cameras and everything. This is a very simplistic layout that I'm doing here. During our convention season, and if you especially go look at some of our older videos, I mean, you'll see I set up cameras, at the booth. We'll video onto the journey to the conventions. I was hoping to do a lot more of that this year, but it looks like we got turned down from 2 big conventions that we were really hoping to get a part of. I'm a little disappointed, but one of them we didn't get turned down from. We got put on a waiting list. Although that waiting list the convention in general is coming up pretty soon, and if we don't hear anything by the end of April, then I'm going to assume that we're not getting it. It's unfortunate. It was a big convention, like 50,000 plus people. I was really hoping to be there. So, it is what it is. We have some conventions that we are already a part of. We're going to go to. I think we're expanding. We may end up being at 4 or 5 this year again. But as we get more stuff out, more products, build our brand a little bit more, they'll come. Those bigger opportunities. They can't ignore us forever. We prove we have something, which goes back to the whole execution, executing and making sure you have something. Going back to your whole mini game thing too. One of the things that we're trying to do to make us still stand out at these conventions is make. I want to make an arcade game and allow people to play an arcade game of our games there, like a little simple arcade game. That'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot, executing your ideas, and you may have heard me talk about it before, but smaller scope, keeping things concise, within the realm of possibility. You're not making an MMORPG. You're not making an open world game. You can do those things, but just know right up front that's going to take you multiple years. There's no shortcut to any of that. Even a 2D game can become very expensive and long. And I wouldn't say expensive money-wise, unless you're spending money on it. But expensive is in time. You can spend a lot of time on things. A lot of things that get overlooked, and I constantly do this. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Yeah, I'm still learning. I overestimate, or underestimate the the complexity of adding things like sound. Oh my gosh, like sound is one of the last things I think about, but it's so huge. Um, Menus, little animations, like those things add up. Those little polish things, those things that come, those are huge, and you got to get them in there. Um, so it's just getting to those things. You got to make sure you can execute, make sure your scope is small enough that you can actually finish it in time. Um, and I'm still bad at this. Like, I'm talking about it, but I'm really saying it to honestly keep myself in check. Like, small scopes, I'm not making an MMO. Uh, Not making Destiny. Love to, but that's not a possibility. Over the years, I think we've learned better about what we can and can't do. Um, think I'm running out of my talking points here. And we got our last item in here, I think. I don't know. Did I add burn relief in here? I did not. I don't know what burn relief would be though, so I don't know if I want to add it in yet. I mean, I know what it would be if we had it. I plan on adding statuses in here, so like if you get caught on fire, like you know, that would be something to put it out. But I don't have that in here so right now, so I don't know if it makes sense to put it in there. Well, anyways, yeah. I would just say, um, it is difficult to get creations out the door. I think I'll give streaming a go, but probably like I said, as a blog thing. Yeah, absolutely. Do not try to be an entertainer. you know, um, it's just something to keep and do it very light. Do not do it heavy. Um, like I'm doing, like once a week. Maybe every other week. Don't force yourself. Uh, I may skip a Wednesday. I'm gonna try not to. Um, the important part for us though is we actually have a few products and we want people to know who we are. So it's important for us to get things like shorts and stuff out there. Um, do I think that these sessions are gonna help with that? Maybe, maybe not. Um, Maybe later on though, people will see that there is something going on here. You can't just start streaming one day when you're ready to show something and expect people to flock to it. It's not gonna happen. Um, it won't hurt. Um, I think where our stuff is really gonna shine though is like I said, when it's me and my artist, we have a good time hanging out and chatting and joking and everything else. And we get a lot of good shorts out of it. And I do encourage you to go check those out because they're hilarious. Um, we have a great time at our conventions or preparing for our conventions or just doing some promotional content, which I'm hoping to have here soon. But he's getting married, so the chances of that happening are probably low. Um, Not for at least a few more weeks. So we'll see. I do plan on having a studio update with him here soon because we are getting really close to launching a Kickstarter. So, like, we have to do a lot of promotional content, and unfortunately, part of that is videos. Which also reminds me, going back to what you said, I gotta go reach out to some people and say, hey, we got some stuff for you. So that's gonna be fun, but yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I do encourage you to do that. It'd be great for you. All right. Well, it is late, and I have hit everything I wanted to talk about today. If you have anything, like you want to work on something, don't be afraid to hit me up. We do have a Discord. Absolutely, feel free to jump in our Discord. We have a whole section for personal projects if you want to share what you're doing. We have a few people from previous game jams that have joined in there with us. Other artists, people who've met us at conventions. Our Discord is a big community. We're trying to, okay, it's not a big community. It's a community we want to get big enough that we want it to be where people can show off what they're doing. You know, we want to get people excited about making their own works. So that's literally what we're here for. That's our whole entire mission. Yep. Should be somewhere on YouTube. If not, it'll absolutely be on our Facebook. In fact, let me just grab server invites. Let's put those in the chat. I don't think I sent. No, I did. Okay, great. It just took forever to see. All right, well, that's it for today. So, do encourage you to check us out on Facebook and the rest of our videos. I'll be back hopefully next Wednesday to do some more streams on probably this. Maybe it'll probably be this. I don't think we'll probably do another one. There is a chance we may do a live stream next week if our artist isn't sick, because we have to do some promotional content. So I'm hoping to have him soon, like here soon. I really hope so. So that's a possibility. But all right, thank you.